Hey, it's me, the M.E Goddess, checking in. I am taking advantage of the fact that I can be horizontal for a few minutes. I've made a doctor's appointment to see if we can talk about some oxygen, maybe trying to get some oxygen tanks at home and stuff, to see if I can just kind of do a few more day-to-day things. I've got some things I really want to do, but I'm just feeling quite unwell with it all. I'm having more fainting spells and times when I just can't breathe properly. So I guess after a couple of years being bedridden, the body's gonna go through a process of that, and it's just something that weighs heavily on me. I've got some things that are just really important to me that I kind of get the chance to do before any more of my body gives up. And one of those, I'm writing my story. It's a kind of interesting story. I guess I didn't appreciate. I knew I had it in this kind of a strange and weird background, but it wasn't until I started writing it that I sort of realized that I would like to tell my story before my body is in a place where that's no longer possible. I'm finding that the use of my limbs is being decreased. My stamina is very low, and it's taken me much longer to recover from activity, whether that's brain thinking or activity, or even just something like daily ablutions and things. I've just noticed that things are harder than they used to be. And it's not an unexpected progression. I'm meeting with my sisters at some point in the future. I've got 3 older sisters. Only one of them's able to come up and visit at this point. Hopefully I'll get a chance to have some face-to-face time with my other 2 sisters, because I really am reaching the point where I just want to be comfortable. I'm running out of puff. There's a couple of things I absolutely must do, and obviously even though they're little things, having that pressure requires energy, and it's affecting my mood somewhat. I've had to start planning my funeral, and I know this will be emotional content for a lot of you. I've had to start planning my funeral, and I've spent some time on this because when I first had the awareness that I'm not going to be an old lady, and I had to make some really drastic and important decisions around that. Now, for me, my funeral isn't about what I need. I did a first draft, which was I would like this, and I would like that, and I would like this, and I would like that. Maybe we'll do this, and it was quite a circus in my head. And I left it for a couple of weeks, and then I realized that planning my funeral for me is such a sacred process. I don't have a firm religion, but I do have faith in something beyond this. I guess my faith is a great mix of many different spiritual experiences that I've had that have helped me piece together what my version of an afterlife might be. And I do believe that for me there will be an afterlife. And at first I was totally focused on here, you know, I'm doing the mother, I'm trying really hard to make sure that if I have to go, that I leave my family in the absolutely best shape possible. Financially, it was a real kick in the nuts, and I apologise in advance for the length of this video. I imagine it's going to be one of those ones. I had good life insurance. And it continued from before I got sick. I was always very careful in having good life insurance so that my family would be okay. Then I got really sick, and then my husband got made redundant, and we had to go and live on a disability benefit, which is no easy thing when you've got a mortgage and 2 small children to raise. We have 4 children, but the 2 oldest are, you know, kind of self-sufficient. So on a practical level, it was about making sure that my honey and the littlies would be okay through a really tough time. Now, going on the benefit meant everything had to be cut apart from survival essentials, and that meant we could no longer afford my life insurance. I tried to get life insurance later on, and I was just basically just laughed out of the organisation. There was no way. The amount of things wrong with my body and the medication and all of that stuff, there's no cure, blah blah. I didn't get to do that. There was simply not enough money that because when you live on a benefit in New Zealand, well, for us anyway, because my husband cannot be given an allowance for being my full-time caregiver. The allowance could go to any complete stranger that we have in our house, but he cannot be paid for being my full-time caregiver, and it is increasingly becoming a full-time job because the hospitals won't even look at me. Nobody understands, well, hardly anybody understands what this disease is, and so when they don't know, you're left on your own pretty much. Well, through all the research and everything we've done, we've really come to the realization that one way or the other, I'm not going to see my babies grow up. I have important goals. I wanted to see my daughter turn 10 to help her then prepare for pre-puberty and puberty in an active way that is meaningful at that time. My next goal is to see my baby boy 7. Those first 7 years of a child's life are so important, and some days I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't know how I'm going to actually function long enough or be alive long enough to make that happen. But this is when my motherhood instinct kicks in, and I'm sort of saying, right, well, actually, no matter how bad it feels, I'm going to do this. Both Isabella and Leo were born to us by surrogacy. I was not able to carry children at that time. I didn't get to go through the morning sickness and the discomfort and all of that, the birthing, the labour, the dealing with the aftermath of labour and birth. I didn't get to go through that firsthand. I went through that pretty much as a husband would go through it. You know, I watched my friend, my two friends, go through the entire process, and the nearest I could get to it was to just be there with all of my love and support and be ready to embrace my baby once that was possible. So I contact parented when my babies were small. I just had this feeling, you know, you've got to give them as much of yourself as you possibly can. And so that's been my ethos, and I think there are days when I think I can't do this anymore. I'm just, every part of me hurts. Every part of me is crying. My brain is crying because the grief I'm feeling for my life is huge. And I guess I'll talk about that another time, but right now I want to talk about the babies. And about me having to face the fact that I'm not going to see them grow up. I really do not believe there are any more miracles out there for me, because I've already had quite a few. So I've had to plan my funeral. So like I said, the first draft was all very grandiose and complex and things like that. I'll be talking to my sisters about this as soon as I can. But I've talked with the children. I've written a document about it. I've got a whole book of all my information and everything that they might need once I'm gone. I haven't even thought about the afterlife yet. I can't face that right now. But at the moment is such a hugely intense process of painful grief, because I have to be brave. This is the bravest I think I've ever had to be, and the most focused, and yet I have to also try and do that without expending any mental, emotional, physical energy, which will see me decline quicker. So I went through my funeral plan, made another draft, and I was amazed at how many things I crossed out, and that I found myself, I mean, my husband has said to me so many times, you are going to drive yourself insane if you keep trying to find a right time to let go. And I said, actually, you know, you're absolutely right. I know my body's gonna die sooner than I would like. I've talked about this before, I also know what limit of disability I'm prepared to go up to and put my family through, because we can't get the care we need from anywhere else. M.E is a totally in-house solo project at the moment, so we just have to do the best we can. I mean, I've got an awesome GP, but even she is completely hamstrung by the rest of the system. So approaching my funeral now, I can kind of say, because I've been doing this for some months, well, all of a sudden it's taken on a very different feel, and it's become a very sacred event for me. Preparing for marriage, preparing for children is so beautifully supported in ritual, whether you see them as sacred or not. It doesn't mean Christian, it just means that deep primal element that most of us have of a connection to something deeper. And for myself, I was completely involved in my process of getting married and connecting my life to someone else, and I was completely committed to that process. and that I was completely pregnant being pregnant or having a child through surrogacy, I was completely sacredly involved in that process. What I'm finding difficult now is, who do I talk to? It's a genuine question. Who can I talk to about the sacredness of my death? Who can I talk to about? Maybe that's why I'm bringing it up, probably before I'm going to need it. A year, 2 years, we don't know. If my body lasts that long, great. If it doesn't, well, that'll be taken care of too. I'm not afraid of going to hell. I'm not afraid of if I have to carry out my own peaceful death. I am determined that that will be a beautiful and sacred experience for me, also for my family, if that is something that supports them through that. But really, we're born alone and we die alone, and so I'm seeking help, I guess. I'm seeking a direction of where to go. I live in Wellington, New Zealand. I can't travel anywhere. I want to be shrouded. I want to go through the process of preparing my own shroud. I want simplicity and an elegance and a sacredness to this preparation. There's other countries in the world where, they make their own coffins in advance. It's just part of what you do. And, they make, I came across a Dutch site, and being a Dutch Kiwi, that was quite a lovely little point in the direction that there's a whole movement of being shrouded. It's basically where you're on a plain wooden tray, because I'm being cremated, a plain wooden tray wrapped in a certain way in a shroud. I just find the idea of being put in a casket, it doesn't sit with me. So I guess there's something within me that's saying, that's, if you considering you're getting to choose and you want to have this sacred experience leading up to and including your death, and leaving your family with the memory of a gentle and beautiful and sacred experience, rite of passage. It's probably one of the most incredible opportunities to be involved in a rite of passage. I'm lucky. I know I'm not going to live forever. I know I can start preparing for that. And it doesn't mean that when I've made my shroud and I've done all this, that it's like, oh, okay, I'm all good, see ya. No. The reason I'm bringing this up now, and the reason I know many will be questioning, you're still able to sit up, you're still able to talk, so why are you talking about this horrible, uncomfortable stuff? Well, there's going to come a time where I can't talk, or sit up, or have my eyes open, or I have had experiences of these. Sorry, I'm getting a bit lost. I've had experiences, little tastes of these symptoms, and when I'm really depleted, that's what happens. Don't forget, I spent 2 years not being able to use my arms. They were just all, like someone who'd had a stroke. I spent 18 months to 2 years not being able to talk on the telephone, because I just could not, my brain could not piece it together. I've spent many, many, many weeks over the years in complete silence and in complete darkness, because every prick of light, every sound that went in a certain frequency, my body just screamed with pain. If I'm in a place where it's just too much stimulation, because the stimulation uses up the energy I've got in my brain that translates to my body, my nerves, my synapses, because they're all so messed up, they read that as pain. And where the pain happens in my body, it's not a mechanical pain, so the pain relief doesn't work, and it's working less and less, and the only option is to, the more pain is to go up the opioid ladder, which, you know, I'm right, baby steps with the tramadol, but I know that's not always going to be the case. So, why am I talking about my funeral when it's such a big social taboo these days? I'm talking about my funeral because if I leave it too late, I won't be able to do it, and the only person that I can blame for that is myself, for being too chicken shit to come out and say, I want to talk about my funeral, and I want to make it a beautiful, sacred, normal thing. I mean, I know that when I think about what my passing away is going to mean to my 4 children and my husband and my family and my friends, my heart just crumbles. And I've had to wait until I can get a little bit of, I need to put a little capsule around that, because I'm going to die and I can't stop it. There's no treatment. There is nothing, and don't even go there about the juicing and the positive thoughts and eating gherkins for a month, or you knew someone who was cured by ME by doing XYZ. Even if you haven't heard about it, there's not a lot we haven't tried. I'm not wasting whatever time I've got left chasing something that at best will prolong the agony. I've got a lot of gastric issues going on at the moment. I'm having lots of trouble eating. So who knows, I might finally get that YouTube worthy sunken look. Thankfully, I was made with plenty of padding. Maybe that was the plan all along, that I have lots of nice padding so I can stay nice and plump and curvy a little bit longer. So I'm probably going to want to, actually I'm not probably going to want to, I'm going to want to talk about funerals and dying and how that feels and what that means and how to be terminally ill. No, wrong. How to know your body is dying and you're losing your mind and your body is cell by cell giving up, but you're not terminally ill. Henceforth, can't access any terminally ill support. Yep. So I will put warnings up on my videos if they're going to be funeral content or death content. I can't bombard my family with this. I can't. And I know for a fact that, you know, if the videos are over like a minute and a half, which hardly ever happens to me, that pretty much I'm talking to me. But just talking to me means I'm not causing my family any extra pain, because they know, they all know, they know It doesn't need to be said again to them. But I need to talk about it more. Yeah, I need to talk about it more. So I'll put warnings in. I'm not a drama queen. I'm not speaking further than I should. If I was afraid of dying, I guess I would avoid it as much as possible. But actually, dying is the very, very last thing I get to do on this beautiful earth. And I want to acknowledge my life, and I want to think about my life, and I want to stitch that into something that feels complete and gentle and kind, and leave. I know most of me will already be gone. It's just my shell, it's just my body. But for me, it's not really the process of what happens to my body after I die. For me, I'm just so drawn to how do I honor and thank my body. And I want to show it this respect, and to show the person who I was, who I am now, and who I was when I'm gone. I want to show that person respect. If you have any comments that can help support me in this quest to find a sacred, the divine feminine, sacred way to skip from motherhood to dead crone, that would be really cool, because I'm not going to be around to become full-blown crone. Although I am embracing all of my grey, I realised, I'm never gonna see my hair completely grey. So I stopped dyeing it, and I'm kind of embracing the decades. I've been watching the here we go, charades. It's not the bag. It's not called a bag. It is called. It's not a bag. It's not a bag. The crown. This is charades. We're awesome at it at home. I mean, chicken pox. Who could have known that was Weet-Bix? Anyway, I digress. I've been watching The Crown, which I find to be quite a sympathetic and easy watch regarding the royal family. And I do that because me and Netflix, we got a thing going on. So I've been watching The Crown, and I've been watching how her hairstyles of kind of, so I'm embracing the Queen with a dash of Liz Taylor thrown in, for the right colour. I didn't realise my hair was nearly black. Anyway, to quote Ellen DeGeneres, I'm going to sign off now because that's my spoon. I'm going to go and play my new Star Trek Timelines game, because that helps to get me out of my depression, which comes. Then I'm working on my portable mother. I'm trying to think of all the kids, all the things that the littlies would like to ask me when I'm not able to answer them. So I'm working on this massive folder. It's called the Portable Mother. It's all scrapbooked, and all my recipes and what to do with boys, and how not to get pregnant, and how to be a responsible young man, all of that sort of stuff. And so I do that, and that helps my anxiety that I feel. Not anxiety about, you know, the next couple of years and if I make it that far, but just the anxiety about, was it anxiety or a grief? Probably a grief about everything that's not possible, and anxiety about what's happening to my family through all of this. So I will sign off. Star Trek timelines is a calling, and being a Trekkie, I know. I'm actually, last thing, I'm a bit tragic. I play my Star Trek timelines game, and now that I've discovered how to hook up my phone to Spotify, and Honey bought me a little Bluetooth speaker for Christmas, I can have all the Star Trek music, all the theme music from all the Star Trek programs and all the Star Trek movies ever. And it's full immersion, and it means I don't have to think about two things at once, which was always a good idea if you're trying to, like achieve something. Anyway, I've waffled on again, and to the maybe one person who watched this far, you're awesome, and I thank you. And on a soppy note, if you watch these videos, thank you. It just makes me looking at this little blue light, sharing all my deepest, darkest, and my most precious thoughts. Thank you. And if anybody out there sees this or shares this or subscribes or whatever you do, just, it helps keep things ticking over. But anyone that can help me with my divine feminine sacred quest, I welcome you. And to everybody else out there who's just not into the hippie thing, or the new age thing, or the crystal thing, or the past life thing, I want to say, hey, you did me a solid. You watched my video. Thanks. Okay. Mwah. Farewell. It's good night from me, and it's good night from me.